Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have some XRP news today, Bitcoin, Cardano news, and I had a question from one of our esteemed members in the members only section about stablecoin. So I'll try to give my humble thoughts on that. We're going to begin here with this article. It is titled XRP price fluctuations are irrelevant as Google's early volatility. I love it when someone brings up this particular point. It's a very powerful point in my humble opinion. If you remember it, I never think about Google. I think about Amazon, how Amazon began in its rocky beginnings. Well, not really rocky, but people didn't believe in Amazon. I remember that from a long time ago. I remember that there was a time where Amazon stock was not highly valued to the point where it would be, you know, how they offer some free stocks for things, you know, when you sign up for certain things. That was occurring at one time. That's how low the value was for Amazon. No one believed in it. It wasn't a profitable company at the time. I remember that. And there was a lot of uncertainty. And then one day it just took off. That's what it seemed like to me, in my opinion. So I usually think about Amazon, but let's read this little tidbit here. It says former Bitfury CEO Brian Brooks believes the price fluctuations of crypto assets like XRP are as insignificant as the early volatility of Google stocks. Brooks shared this perspective in a discussion at the Aspen Institute, clarifying the core purpose of cryptocurrencies. According to him, the focus on short-term price movements detracts from the broader mission of cryptocurrencies. Here's the problem, though. There's such a huge group of people that are very much focused on short-term price movements that it's going to drown out messages like this. I think there's many more short-term holders than there are long-term investors in cryptocurrency. So, but this is just my humble opinion. But it says this. Brooks stressed that the real value of a crypto like XRP lies in its potential to replace centralized financial systems with decentralized networks that prioritize user control over bank CEO control. And you know what's funny about that? I actually 100% believe the banks understand this and they want to profit from that. They're not running from it. It's the whole reason why they're congealing with the new financial system is not really to control it. It's to profit from it. And they understand that getting in position now, not trying to change that system, but congeal with it, they're going to be able to take a lot of value off the table when it comes to all of these different bank coins. 100%. I'm telling you. Lending, delegation, traceability, interoperability, all that stuff. They're going to benefit from all of that. And it's going to flood the system, theoretically speaking, with tons and tons and tons of value. It says during the discussion, he highlighted that most people misunderstand cryptocurrencies, believing their success hinges on their ability to replace fiat currencies like the US dollar. However, he argued that this is a narrow perspective. Yeah. Someone else said something similar to this recently. Remember, we covered that? And I said this. I don't believe that crypto is supposed to replace fiat at all. It's like a band-aid, really. Fiat's negatives are a positive for crypto, right? It gives it a purpose to serve. So why repair that, right? Quote, the biggest misunderstanding is the whole discussion of this whole discussion is the belief that if crypto is not doing a great job of replacing the US dollar, then it's failing in its mission, unquote, Brooks stated. Yeah, I disagree with that as well. Instead, he drew a compelling analogy between the early volatility of Google stocks and the price movements of digital assets. Once again, if you look at Google, how wasn't it? It was only after Google, I believe it was Google went public that their stocks prices surged, right? Like almost overnight, sort of how like people look at XRP once they flip the switch, so to speak, and get the network up running, RippleNet or whatever you say, with a whole bunch of banks utilizing XRPL and XRP, then that price would theoretically go higher than where it is now. Who knows how high? I don't know. But it would go higher than where it is now, right? But let's go here. I'm going to go here because I have it somewhere on here about Google. I just want to get those years right to show you. So it says in the early years after Google went public in 2004, the stock price was relatively low, right? Look, 2004, look how long it took. It says the stock price began to rise significantly. It was around, it says the 2010s, 2004 to the 2010s. It says, as Google's business continued to grow and expand. For example, Google's stock price hit $600 in 2013. Then in 2014, it went to $1,000. Now, here's the thing about XRP, Stellar, XLM, Algorand, Quant, Flare, Solana, Chainlink, etc. They have utility. Utility. We've never seen anything like it. Well, a stock is just, I mean, what does a stock really do? I mean, it make you a little bit of money here and there. I mean, compared to crypto, it's make a little bit of money. Depending on how much you have, right? You got to spend a pretty penny to make a pretty penny. With crypto, it's not always that way, right? You can have a little bit of it sometimes, and then the price just skyrockets so dramatically. You put in a little bit and make a lot sometimes. That's the special part about crypto. But it has the same similar characteristics to the stock market as far as being able to make that type of money. But at the same time, it has utility. So utility can bring in value as well. I'm not putting that quite so eloquently, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. And that utility, here's the thing, that utility has not kicked in just yet. It hasn't. So what happens when it does? XRP utility hasn't kicked in yet. The banks haven't started using it in mass just yet. The big businesses haven't begun using it just in mass just yet. Right? So what happens when they do? And that's one thing they're leaving out. A lot of these individuals are leaving out when they talk about the price of these bank coins is that we haven't even gotten started yet. We just got through the case. So I would think once all that value from utility begins to pour in, and we are in a dominant position, by the way. And that's another thing I want to point out. If you look at companies like Google, they cornered a certain market. Search engine, right? Then you look at, I have it here somewhere. I believe I have Amazon pulled up somewhere. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, I do. I have it on Grok here. Amazon, same thing. They weren't profitable for years until it was in 2001. Wait, no, not 2001. Wow, not even then. Wait, it wasn't until 2002 that Amazon turned positive with a profit of $35 million. And that was it, just $35 million. All right. So it shows you, and Amazon cornered the market, right? To me, in my opinion, they were the first Temu or first Shein, where they had back then. Amazon had some cheap prices. They were undercutting and kneecapping all their competition. Do anybody remember that? They would sell things for very, very low to the point where other companies were complaining that it was unfair. I remember that like it was yesterday. Today is a different story, because now they control everything. Amazon's bought everything. But what it shows is, and let me see something. Bear with me. Amazon went public in 1997. 1997. These things, when you are cornering a market, when you're in a positioning yourself for dominance, greatness, and a very rapid rise, it takes time. We're seeing the same thing here when it comes to companies like Ripple, Stellar, Algorand, etc., the bank coin companies. The difference is we're witnessing the setup. We're witnessing them take over and dominate and work with everybody from the United Nations to a cadre of banks to large business institutions, non-banking financial institutions. We're insurance companies. Algorand has a few of them, right, in Italy. We're literally witnessing them put everything together, and it's going to take time as well. And another thing I want to add in here is that if it took Amazon this long and all they're doing is selling some products, right? If it took Google that long and all they were doing is putting together a search engine, which the foundation was already laid for them for what they were doing. You had Alta Vista. You had, what's the other one? It had a strange name. It was like a guy's name or something like that. Ask Jeeves. You had Ask Jeeves. You had Alta Vista. You had Yahoo. You had a bunch of these, other search engines to lay the foundation. See, what Ripple is doing, Solana is doing, all these companies are doing now have never been done before, where they are going to be gluing together a fragmented financial system. I mean, Amazon's not more significant than that. Google is not more significant than that. I mean, the purpose that they serve. So, of course, with a significant purpose, it's going to take a little bit more time, of course. But if they saw a rapid rise in value, there is the possibility that that pattern can continue. More than likely will continue. Of course, there's no guarantees, not financial advice. So at some point, once the time arrives, there could be a dramatic increase in the price of these bank coins. And I personally believe, remember, you don't have to agree with me. All right. You make your own mind up. But I personally believe that this could be bigger than anything anyone ever saw before, and is well worth the wait, in my humble opinion. All right, so now, and once again, do what you want to do. All right. So now let's move on from there. Let's move on here. I have a Ripple article. I was going to skip it, but why not? We might as well cover it. It could be good information for anyone that wants to know about it. So now, this article is titled, Ripple CEO says he may be biased. Of course he is, but this is going to be the best. What are you talking about, Mr. Garlinghouse? Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, has expressed his excitement over a star-stacked speaker list, my apologies, for the upcoming annual Ripple Swell 2024 event. In a post on Thursday, Garlinghouse stated that this year's edition would be the best version yet. The Ripple boss quoted a tweet from the firm revealing the speakers for the upcoming Ripple Swell event. The list comprised heavyweights in the crypto, fintech, and payment sectors. All right, so maybe, just maybe. How many times did I say maybe? My goodness. We'll get a little bit of information out of there. Who knows? This year's Ripple event will happen between October 15th and 16th. The payment giant will host the 2-day event in Miami, Florida. All right, so this could be interesting. And hopefully, listen, the only reason I would even pay attention to things like this is in the hope that we get some sort of information, new information released, and it'll be something interesting and fun and explosive for the market. All right, so now we're going to move on here to a little bit of Bitcoin news. But Bitcoin news, this article is titled, U.S. Bitcoin ETFs extend inflow streak as BlackRock reels in $75 million. And it begins here. U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds have secured their 6th consecutive day of positive performance after collectively taking in approximately $65 million on Thursday. BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust led with around $75 million in new capital, Farside Investors data shows. Also, I didn't watch the Olympics. I just saw the clips like on TikTok. They rip all the clips and put them on these websites, So that's how I saw that. Fidelity's Bitcoin fund added around $9 million in net inflows, followed by ARK Invest 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, which attracted nearly $8 million in new investment. They continue to take over. Before you know, the big companies are just going to control and run Bitcoin. They're going to make it go up and down whenever they choose. They're doing it right now, honestly. Other gains were also seen in Wisdom Tree's Bitcoin Fund, Grayscale's Bitcoin Mini Trust, BTC, and VanEck's Bitcoin ETF, collectively attracting over $12 million. In contrast, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which charges the highest management fees among U.S. spot Bitcoin products, experienced over $28 million in outflows on Thursday since the fund was converted into an ETF. Investors have withdrawn nearly $20 billion from GBTC. However, massive outflows have subsided over the past 2 weeks. GBTC's withdrawal hit a low of nearly $10 million yesterday, the month's lowest outflow, with GBTC's outflow slowdown and consistent capital into other competing Bitcoin ETFs, mostly BlackRock's IBIT. The group of U.S. spot Bitcoin funds has experienced sustained inflows for 6 consecutive trading days. Now, something I want to say, because I always talk about the media push that is to come for Bitcoin in the future. I do believe that's going to be very powerful. But here's the thing. I think the trust push. Now, I'm going to separate the trust push from the media push. Now, the trust push, I think, is going to be a little bit more significant. And what I mean by that is, now, you see how people trust gold? Now, if with the mainstream media push, they start to compare Bitcoin to gold to the masses and pushing the idea of Bitcoin being this more easily accessible gold, which is nonsense to us, of course, but the regular people, I think, will go for it. And whether you can store your money, etc. And, they're going to show them all of these massive gains from Bitcoin also. And I'll say this also with, depending on how they package Bitcoin, there's been a lot of problems with people seeing returns on investment for certain things. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so they start packaging Bitcoin with certain things and just telling the people, well, listen, maybe your stocks and other things aren't doing so well right now, but if we put Bitcoin into this package, look at the returns for Bitcoin over a certain period of time. Once again, I think that could be very significant to build the trust in, the working class people to store their money in Bitcoin. I think that's something that the big institutions will do sooner rather than later. But first, they have to get through this positioning phase, in my humble opinion. That will be powerful. Gold isn't going anywhere. No one's going to. I don't think a lot of people are going to give up their gold or liquidate their gold or go into Bitcoin. Although we always see that little bit of flow from Bitcoin into gold, right? When people take profit, flow out of Bitcoin into gold. And then sometimes that same flow will come back out and go into Bitcoin or other altcoins as well. I watch that very, very closely. I've seen that multiples of times. But it doesn't work the reverse way in mass from what I've seen. Gold supporters stay with gold. I'm the same way. My gold is not going anywhere. My silver isn't going anywhere. That's not going to happen. We believe in it and trust in it too much. Now, that's something they want to build with Bitcoin. Right now, that trust isn't there in Bitcoin. Even with the long-term holders, we saw data come out saying long-term holders were selling Bitcoin. And they're very much moved, long-term holders, as much as they want to say, oh, we're Bitcoin for life. They do want to see a profit, and they do have fears that can be manipulated, and they do want to stay wealthy, right? And Bitcoin can have dramatic falls. And right now, there's a lot of uncertainty only because, not in me, I believe I know where Bitcoin is going, but there's a lot of uncertainty because now Bitcoin is in the hands of entities that previously were not in control of Bitcoin going up or down. So it's a new era, new age, right? But what I'm saying is that trust has to be built in Bitcoin before the masses, run to Bitcoin and think of it as a true store of value. Now, is it a true store of value? To a degree, yes. But is it the number one store of value? Absolutely not. I would take gold over Bitcoin. I think money market funds are going to continue to be more popular, to store your capital in than Bitcoin as well. But Bitcoin is great 100%. And I do believe it's going to explode, not financial advice. I also believe that you're going to probably see, no guarantees, of course, but I think it's more than likely going to see a $3,000 gold. I do. I'm right there. I would have said, 2,800. I think that's what I said before. The first numbers I had was 2,100. Greatly surpassed that. Then I thought 2,300. I think I said that. We surpassed that. 2,400, I think was the last one I said. Definitely surpassed that. What was it? 2,500. And now you're getting all of these big banks saying, hey, $3,000 gold. We have more geopolitical tension than ever. You have a multitude of banks, not only in the U.S., but around the world in jeopardy. So now that's something else I'm going to take into account. Getting off of the whole trust issue, but I think gold and Bitcoin could go up as more and more of these geopolitical tensions happen. But with Bitcoin, it needs more of a push that's not going to happen just yet because the big companies are not done, in my humble opinion, taking over. They're not done yet. And when they are done, I'm expecting the biggest bull run of all time. Could I be wrong? Sure. Do I think I'm wrong? Absolutely not. Because both those companies, just like I do, they are here to make a lot of money. And once they understand the pathway, they see a clear pathway to making that capital, they do not back off. Another thing about Bitcoin. Sorry, I have so many thoughts on Bitcoin today. I do. It's such an interesting dynamic going on right now. But you see how El Salvador just acquired more Bitcoin. Then people just wrote it off. We covered the article where IMF said, hey, listen, we were wrong on this. El Salvador is doing great with Bitcoin. We have seen none of those negatives pop up that we thought were going to pop up. This is what the IMF said. Other countries heard that, and they're going to take that. Mark my words. They're going to take that as a green light to go get themselves some Bitcoin. And I'm not talking about confiscating some Bitcoin like what Germany is doing. No, I'm talking about like what El Salvador is doing, go all in on Bitcoin. When you have a multitude of countries do that across the world, and I think that time is going to come, that also is going to push Bitcoin up. And when that pushes Bitcoin up, this is going to happen. Liquidity is going to come out of Bitcoin and people are going to want to play. They will play in all types of things, but altcoins will be one of those things, in my humble opinion. All right. All right. There's some bullish days ahead. I'm telling you, for crypto overall. I think there's some bullish days ahead. So now we're going to move on. Let me do the stablecoin thing. Let me not forget my apologies for, I actually have like 6 articles left, so I'm not going to get to any of those, but I want to end off here with honoring what I said and speaking on stablecoins. Now, we had a question from one of our esteemed members about stablecoins, and if I believe it was either stablecoins in general or the XRP base, XRPL based stablecoin RLUSD would be wrapped. Now, I don't know if it will be wrapped, but I'll say I can read this to you here about stablecoins and the ability to wrap stablecoins, which is something new to me. I've never heard of that before. So this was a good bit of research that actually educated me. So thank you for this question and your statements. It says here, yes, stablecoins can be wrapped. Really? Now that's interesting, but can be wrapped doesn't mean it will be wrapped. So that's something we're going to have to wait to see how they're going to utilize these things. It says the process of wrapping involves creating a token that represents the original stablecoin, allowing it to be used on a different blockchain than the one it was originally issued on. This is particularly useful for enhancing cross-chain interoperability and enabling the stablecoin to be used in a decentralized finance applications on various blockchains. Now, let me go back. Let me read that part one more time. Creating a token that represents the original stablecoin. Okay, on the new network. How wrapping works, the original stablecoin is sent to a custodian, often managed by a smart contract that we know. Cross-chain bridges, wrapped tokens facilitate the use of stablecoins across different blockchains, overcoming the limitation of stablecoins being restricted to their native blockchain. Interoperability, wrapped stablecoins can be used across various blockchains. Liquidity and functionality. Wrapping stablecoins can enhance liquidity. And we all know liquidity, potent across the board. Enhance liquidity by allowing, there's overflow of liquidity. Enhance liquidity by allowing them to be utilized in multiple blockchain environments, thus increasing their functionality within the crypto ecosystem. Now, these thoughts I have are a little bit fragmented, but that liquidity, let's say you wrap RLUSD somehow, or you wrap something else and it comes into that XRPL ecosystem and the liquidity is increasing, or you wrap RLUSD and now it's being used and utilized in more different places, a variety of different places. But also is circulating back to the XRPL. Of course, that liquidity is going to add to XRP's liquidity, which then, based on some experts that we read from a while ago, the higher the liquidity on the XRPL, the more desirable it will be for companies to come and utilize the XRPL, which means that they also, since XRP is going to be the main thing pushed by Ripple, SBI, Volante Tech, and a lot of these companies, would theoretically equate to more XRP use. That's the way I'm looking at that, right? Is how stablecoins are bringing in more business to be able to utilize the native tokens. Then on top of that, in order to have an account, this is any account on XRPL, you have to have a certain amount of XRP locked up, right? It's like 20 XRP. It's been so long since I've had to do that, right? My XRP is just collecting dust right now. So then there is that also, right? So that's what it says here in summary. While wrapping stablecoins offers significant advantages in terms of interoperability and functionality, it also, they say, introduces certain risks, particularly related to security and trust in custodians. Now, what I'm paying attention to here is this part here where they say significant advantages. If that is the case, then I would say it's a high probability that some of these stablecoins will be wrapped if this information is accurate. All right, double check this, triple check this, we'll continue to do research on this. Like I said, this was definitely educational experience for myself. So I guess we shall see. So I hope that information helps a little bit. All right. And once again, I'll be looking into it a little bit further as well. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.